What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and smash the like if you want more real talk about relationships and social media culture. Because today, we're diving into something wild. All right, so we need to talk about something that I keep seeing happen on social media. And this particular situation is a perfect example of how far this has gone. There's a woman on TikTok who just did something that I think crosses a massive line, and we need to have a serious conversation about it. Now, before I get into this, I want to be clear. I'm all for people sharing their experiences. I'm all for women and men talking about their relationships, seeking advice, setting boundaries, all of that. But there's a difference between sharing your story and publicly humiliating your spouse for millions of people to see. And that's exactly what happened here. This woman posted not one, but two videos about her husband. In these videos, she talks about a moment where he said something dismissive after taking her to the movies. He apologized immediately, sincerely, multiple times, but that wasn't enough. She decided the world needed to know about it. She decided to psychoanalyze him, tell everyone he hates her joy, and basically serve him up for a public dragging. I'm about to play you these clips, and I want you to listen carefully. Listen to what she says, how she frames it, and ask yourself, if you were in this man's position, how would you feel knowing your spouse just did this to you? Because after you hear these clips, we're going to break down exactly why this is so damaging, not just to him, not just to their marriage, but to the foundation of trust that relationships are built on. Let's watch.
My husband decided to be spontaneous and take me to the movies last night. And when we went to dinner afterwards, I was talking about how much I really loved the movie. It was so good. I was so excited to talk about it. And he looks at me dead in my face and says, "It was just a movie." And I immediately stopped talking. So the more I sat there and thought about it, I start crying. It gets really uncomfortable. And he tries to break the silence by continuing to talk. And I finally looked at him and I said, "That really hurt my feelings." And he responded, "It was just a movie." I said, "I was really excited to talk about it. You took me to see this movie on a whim. I've never heard of it, didn't look it up beforehand, and I really loved it. You picked a great movie." And I was so excited. And now I don't want to talk at all. Because why would I want to talk after that? And he immediately stops. He's like, "You're right, I'm sorry." And then he grabs my hands. He's like, "I'm not even being sarcastic. You're right, I'm sorry. I love when you get excited. It's just annoying sometimes." I recognize that he is trying and he is learning how to communicate with me. It's not an overnight process, but it is very painful. He's still new to his healing journey, so I just have to keep remembering.
You are correct. There is hatred here, but it's not for me. It's for himself. He hates my joy and excitement because he has nothing to feel joyful or excited about. And that's exactly what I said to him after he said it was sometimes annoying. The comments were not surprising. I actually almost didn't read them because I knew exactly how they were going to go. I started my healing journey in August of 2022. In the first year of my healing journey, I crashed out at least 2 to 3 times a month. And he was there to take the beating. Every single time. When you start healing and reconnecting with your higher self, your brain thinks it's in danger and it starts to project and deflect to whoever is closest to you. In my case, it was usually my husband, and now in his case, it is me. If I didn't feel like he was trying, I would not be here. I am secure in myself enough to know that I can make it on my own if I have to.
You know what? Let's talk about what you actually just did here. You didn't just share your story. You didn't just vent. You weaponized social media against your husband. And I need you to sit with that for a second. Really sit with it. This man took you out spontaneously. He chose a movie, a good movie, by your own admission, took you to dinner, and in one moment of emotional disconnection, he said something dismissive. And yeah, it hurt. I get that. But then what happened? He immediately course-corrected. He apologized twice. He held your hands. He said, "I love when you get excited." This man was actively in the moment, recognizing his mistake, trying to repair it. And you responded by taking that vulnerable moment, that private moment between the husband and wife, and you fed it to millions of people so they could rip him to shreds. Do you understand what that does to a man? Let me paint you a picture of what's probably happening in his head right now. He's sitting there knowing that his wife, the woman he's supposed to be able to trust most in this world, just told the entire internet that he hates her joy because he has nothing to feel joyful about. You just told the world he's a miserable, broken shell of a person. You psychoanalyzed him like he's a case study. You compared his healing journey to yours and made it clear when you were struggling, he had to take it. But when he struggles, you broadcast it. That man is never going to feel safe being vulnerable with you again. Never. Every time he messes up now, he's going to wonder, is this going on TikTok? Are millions of people about to tell my wife to leave me? Are my kids going to see this? You've turned your marriage into a reality show where he doesn't get a say in whether he's a cast member. And let's talk about those kids for a second, because you brushed right past that, didn't you? You have 4 children. 2 are teenagers. You know what teenagers are cruel about? Everything. You know what they're especially cruel about? Parents. Your kids' friends have seen these videos. Their classmates. Maybe their teachers. And now your husband, their father, is that guy whose wife drags him online. Your teenage kids are probably mortified, and even if they're not saying it, they're learning a lesson right now. This is how you treat someone you love when they disappoint you. You humiliate them publicly. Is that really what you want to teach them about marriage, about partnership, about grace? But here's where this gets really dangerous, and I need you to hear this. You're pushing this man away. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but you're creating a wound that doesn't heal. Right now, somewhere out there, there's a woman who would never do what you just did. There's a woman who, when her partner says something thoughtless, handles it with grace in private. A woman who protects her man's dignity. A woman who doesn't need TikTok validation to feel heard in her relationship. And if your husband ever encounters that woman, at work, at the gym, in a moment when he's feeling completely defeated by the person who's supposed to be his safe place, he's going to recognize something he's missing. Respect. I'm not saying he's going to cheat. I'm not saying he's looking for a way out, but I am saying you're making him feel small, exposed, and unprotected. And humans move to where they feel safe. When you consistently make someone feel unsafe, they eventually stop coming home emotionally. They detach. They go through the motions. And one day, you wake up married to a stranger who stopped trying because every time he did try, it wasn't enough. And his failures became content. You want to talk about how his healing is painful for you? Let's talk about what your response is doing to him. You stood on your soapbox and told the world this man has nothing to feel joyful about. You basically called him dead inside, and you did it publicly. How is he supposed to heal when the person who's supposed to be his partner is broadcasting his lowest moments to an audience that's waiting to tell you to leave him? And let's be brutally honest about something else. You knew what you were doing. You said it yourself. You knew exactly how the comments were going to go. You knew the internet was going to tell you he's terrible. You knew they'd call him toxic, dismissive, emotionally stunted. You knew they'd tell you to leave. And you posted anyway. That's not naivety. That's not sharing your truth. That's seeking validation for your anger by sicking a mob on your husband. You wanted him dragged, and he was. Mission accomplished, right? Except here's the cost. Every time he apologizes now, he's going to wonder if it's enough. Every time he tries to be better, there's going to be this voice in the back of his head saying, she's just going to tell the internet anyway. You've taken away his ability to fail safely with his own marriage. And marriage without the safety to fail, that's not a partnership. That's a performance where one person is always waiting for the other to mess up so they can collect their sympathy points online. This is how marriages die. Not with a bang, but with 1,000 small cuts like this, with humiliation disguised as healing, with public shaming dressed up as holding him accountable, with one partner deciding that their pain matters more than their spouse's dignity. You said you're secure enough to know you can make it on your own. Good. You might need to be. Because if you keep doing this, if you keep treating your husband like he's a character in your TikTok narrative instead of a human being who's trying, you're going to end up alone. And it won't be because he gave up on you. It'll be because you gave up on protecting what you built together. You want him to heal? Then stop putting his wounds on display. You want him to be better? Then create a space where he can be worse sometimes without the whole world watching. You want your marriage to survive? Then delete the apps and have the hard conversations in private, where they belong. Because right now, you're not building a marriage, you're building a case. And when you spend your time building a case against someone, you shouldn't be surprised when the relationship gets convicted. Your husband apologized. He tried. He's learning. What are you doing besides turning your marriage into a spectator sport? And that's the end of this video. If you agree that some things should stay private, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more real talk about relationships, accountability, and why the internet isn't your marriage counselor. I'll see you in the next one.